Howdy, howdy, and welcome. This is officially, hopefully you're in the right spot, measurement marketing certification, the good, the bad, and the ugly. First and foremost, I wanted to introduce you to the panel itself. My name, of course, is, as everybody, you guys are going to take yourselves off of on camera. There we go. Perfect. So myself, you guys hopefully know me by now. My name is Chris Mercer. I go by Mercer, co-founder here at measuremarketing.io, and the voice behind just about every workshop you've ever seen with us, every thing and everything else. In the middle, we have Rita that is here. So Rita Berry is here with ritaberry.co. She's one of our past certified measurement marketers, about 6-7 months, give or take, somewhere around there, I think now.
Almost. Oh, for certified? Yeah, I think so. I was last March.
Last March. Okay. So coming up on a year. And then crossing a year, actually a few months past a year, I believe at this point, is Ahmad Kanani. So Ahmad is on the right. And we've got Ryan, who is desperately working on trying to come in, Ryan Levander. So, and then we can come back and we'll come back to Ryan too. But I wanted to make sure everybody sort of introduced who the panel is here and kind of go from there. So thank you guys. You can turn off your webcams for now, and then we'll come back to this. All right, next. So now that we've covered the panel, let's talk about the kind of the reason you guys are here, which is about this particular program itself. And this is the program we're talking about, of course, is the measurement marketing certification program. So I'm actually just going to go ahead right into the page that you will soon see. So what this is and the origin story behind this, I'm going to put the camera on too so you can see me talking. The whole origin story behind this was I do public speaking quite a bit. I'm at TNC, I'm at Social Media Marketing World. I speak at conferences all over the place. And so what would happen is we were in this point as an agency where we started high end. We started with all done for you work. That's all we did. And it was, we were kind of like the guy behind the guy. We were always the referrals. It was 100% referral driven. The agency model was for us. And so we ended up wanting to make a pivot to get out of that. And that was my personal choice. Like I just didn't enjoy doing the work as much as I enjoyed teaching the work. Like I really enjoy teaching and being on that cutting edge of stuff and playing with things and then being like, wow, look what I just found, and being kind of that pioneer mentality. And so that this led us to building out the academy. We switched, that created measuremarketing.io. We had all these different training programs and all the things that most of you here have experienced in one way or another. And obviously more of those are coming down because I'm doing that. But there was a challenge where I would be on stage talking about all this cool stuff, teaching people how to do this stuff. And people, of course, come up and say, how much for you to set up my goals? How much for you to do this? And my answer at the time was, we just don't do that work anymore. And they were like, of course, what are they going to say? Well, who do you know that does? And that's why I created the Certified Measurement Marketing Program, because I really didn't have any good answers. Now, that's not to say that there are not people who are technically amazing at Tag Manager or analytics or whatever. And they are, maybe even better than me technically, but they didn't necessarily connect the marketing aspect of it. And I thought that's what was missing from most of the people who are working with numbers, is they're more on the data scientist end of things. They really understand the numbers, they understand analytics, they understand stats, but they don't necessarily know how to translate that into, do I need to change my copy of my headline, or do I need to work on my offer, or do I need to redesign this cart? And it wasn't really moving into marketing action as much. So that's why I created the Certified Measurement Marketing Program, because I wanted to be able to say, hey, we don't do that work anymore. However, we do have people that do. And these are people that I've personally trained. We know them. We know their style. We know they definitely have the skill set, and they understand why they're doing this. And so that's where this program came out. That was the whole origin story behind it. Still is. So what we ended up doing was creating this program. This is now the fourth class, I believe, that we're going through now. So the way that this works, we keep them very small. So we're only looking for 7 people max. I'm going to cover why in just a second here. But basically, that's the idea, is to be able to teach you as a freelancer or agency. And it really is more geared to that. If you happen to be with a company where you just want your team to learn this, then Private Guided Training is probably a better program for you, because it's really focused on getting results for you and your specific answers that you need for your company and your situation. And Certified Measurement Marketing is more for the agency or freelancer who wants to offer these services to other clients, maybe to enhance existing services, like they're running traffic and want to get better at creating dashboards to prove their traffic attribution. So they want to learn stuff like that. So that's why the Certified Measurement Marketing, kind of the difference between those two programs. PGTs, Private Guided Trainings, more for the team itself that you're trying to train at your own company, and then the agencies and the freelancers of you, Certified certified measurement marketing for sure is the way to go. So that was the idea behind it and kind of why we created it. Now, the class size itself, they are kept very small because they are very intensive. And hopefully you're going to hear that from our panelists as well. This is not a click around and until you get the right answers and then finally you get your certificate type of course or program. It's 8 weeks. It's very, very intensive. It takes time. That'll be one of the great questions we'll ask our panelists as far as that, because I really want you to hear it from their perspective. But it's 13 weeks. So it's 8 class weeks where there's Monday classes and then you've got a Friday Q&A, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours per each one of those is kind of how they go. We do record them. So if you can't make one for any reason, you can get caught up. And then there's a 5-week certification window at the end of that where you can get certified. And it's 5 weeks because it takes a long time to get through this. And I'll let them talk to this. This is not one of those certifications, again, where you answer 10 questions and bam, there's your certification. It's much more intensive than that. And that's because it's our brand that's then representing you. So once you pass certification, I personally feel confident that you can do the job. So I can recommend you to others in our referrals. And so we'll talk about that in a moment as well. Now, of course, what we're going to talk about during that program are the 5 pillars, right? So we've got planning, where you're figuring out what questions to ask, what are you going to do with the answers, what the dashboard is going to look like, all that sort of stuff. Then the actual building, where you're learning Tag Manager and analytics and how to actually use them from a measurement marketing perspective. Then the reporting, where you're building out the dashboards. We'll be using Data Studio for most of that, but of course, we talk about other tools as well. Forecasting, where you're actually taking that information now that you have it and then starting to predict out what your future results are going to be. Not just the results metrics in terms of revenue and things like that, but the how metrics in terms of, well, how many asks am I going to have? How many people are going to consider a purchase? And what's my pipeline look like? And what's my pipeline going to look like? And then optimizing, where once you know that information, you can actually, when you have your forecast, you send traffic against it. Now you can kind of see, well, here's what I thought was going to happen. Here's what is happening. What do I do next? Like you can sort of see where those weak spots are, where the strong spots are. So you know what to fix or what to scale. So that's the concept behind kind of the overall summary of the program itself. Obviously, the idea here is that you can be a valuable partner to your clients to be able to answer questions that they're going to have about their numbers. Because let's face it, most clients are not numbers people. They are more like, hey, I need to know what to do, right? No client, even though they would tell you this, no client wants to know their numbers. They want to know what to do next. They want to know what actions to take. And then as a certified measurement marketer, our job is to help you to become that person so that you can, as a certified measurement marketer, you can effectively answer questions like this and, of course, a ton of others that they're going to ask. But the idea, of course, being a hero for your client. I'm going to skip through some of this because you guys will be able to read it later because I really do want to get to the panel. But the idea here is that you could potentially create a revenue stream. Now, again, this is not BizOp. We're not going to talk about promises of income or anything like that. It's why I'm saying potential, maybe, might, can't claim you're going to. You can talk to the panel and we will ask them if they're comfortable sharing stuff. But it is a potential new revenue stream that you might be able to bring on board as well. Obviously, we do it. I can tell you from our experience, we sell this as a service for some legacy clients, and we still have onboarding our recurring clients for years now that we're working with. So I can tell you from our experience, we've done that. We'll talk about how to sell measurement marketing, because I know many of you, not really the natural born salesperson, may not have the proper systems in place. So you're going to get our systems. You're going to talk about how we do it. We're going to see how others that are certified do it as well. We all kind of work together on that. The weekly Q&A calls. So I mentioned during the program itself, there's a Monday class and a Friday Q&A. Those Friday Q&As are all year long. So with rare exceptions, we're on every single Friday for those. And all the certified measurement marketers are getting together. It ends up being like this little mini mastermind of what's working in your business. How do I handle this with a client? Hey, how technically do I do this with Tag Manager? Did anybody notice this new feature that just came out? It's a really, really amazing group. I have learned as much as I have taught for sure with that group. So they're fantastic. And I'm super grateful that they are all in there. The Slack channel we use for communication. So there will be a Slack channel set up just for your class. Once you are certified, there's actually a whole other Slack channel that you get to be part of. But the class Slack channel will be there. Sometimes some of the certified measurement marketers that are already certified will join that channel as well to help things out. Or just to review, because you can review anytime you want. When you're certified, you can come back and kind of audit other classes if you like. So that's how we do all the communication, and we'll set that up for you. And then you have these little measurement marketing missions that you're going to get each and every week for homework. This is, again, why we are keeping the class size so small. Remember I said we're keeping it down to 7 people or less. I need that. And my initial vision for this was, I'll have like 20 or 30 people. We can do 4 certifications a year. it's too much, because what was happening is I wanted to make sure that I had a lot of high touch, that I really understood who you were, the style that you needed in order to be able to access this information. If you needed extra time to go through something, that I had that for you, and that we can go through these real world practices where you can practice and you send me over a video, what's working and what you did. And then I'll send you a video back with critiques. Very, very high touch. And because of that, it just doesn't scale. So, and that's okay. I'm totally okay with that, because the point of this program, even though obviously it's a revenue center for us, it's not that. It's the point of the program is to have people I can recommend, that I feel good about recommending to clients and prospects that come in and see us. So that's why I did that and why we're keeping it so small. Of course, you get a certificate, but not just any certificate, an actual, honest to God, physical certificate mailed to you. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, but I like doing it. So and I'll probably even send you a little measurement marketing calculator as well. So I should put an image of that up there. The referral programs, let's talk about that. So the way that this typically works is people will come to us because we're sort of the brand, and we're out there a lot, and we do work for a lot of people that recommend people to, come and talk to measurementmarketing.io. So I jump on a call with them and I kind of pre-qualify, figure out what their tech is. And maybe, if you're a Shopify expert, I can direct them more toward you. If you're somebody who likes WordPress, I can direct them more toward the WordPress people. So first it's the tech. I get an idea of budget. I get an idea of what they actually need, so that I can feel out who I can introduce them to. And normally it's 2 or 3 measurement marketers that I would introduce them to. And so I'll refer them out. The way that it works is if you close the business, then they, most of the time, they normally kick back a 10% referral fee for it, but that's it. I mean, the rest of it's yours. And so we're doing a lot of the pre-sell for you is the idea behind that. So that's the prospect referral program. So if you need a source of leads, which again, that's why I created this, that will be there. You'll at least be eligible for it, right? I can't promise you that you're going to get them, because I just don't want to make guarantees like that. But if again, I'll let the panel talk about that stuff. So I'd rather you hear it from them. Now, the other thing that we'll give you as a certified measurement marketer once you join the program, even if you're just starting to earn your certification, is you get access to the Measurement Marketing Academy. Why? Number one, because we're going to be referencing it and the information that's in there, and you're going to need that. So if you are not yet an Academy member, just know that's also going to be included. If you are an Academy member, that'll just be paused. Whatever you're paying will just be paused, and you pick it back up later on. All right. So now let's go ahead and go into our panel mode. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off our share screen. Then we've got our panel, and I think we've got Ryan here.
Is Ryan here?
Can Ryan actually?
There we go. Can you guys hear me?
And his audio works. All right.
It took a little bit working today, but
no, that's perfect. I'm glad you made it, man.
Absolutely.
It was fun watching you bounce in and out.
It was a process for sure.
We promised it would be informal.
There
so
we
it's
go.
all right. Thanks,
Yeah.
man.
Hey, guys.
Dude, Ryan wins for like the office decor. I love that. Is that a
no
WeWork?
kidding.
Yeah, it's a WeWork.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a
Yeah,
WeWork
I've
for
been doing
myself.
this thing
So
for a while, and I
It's
worked at
so
home for
nice.
a while. And
I like
That's
them.
awesome.
Is that wallpaper, Ahmed? I don't know. Ahmed one's for back. Like
I have
That's
my
pretty
screen all the
cool.
way down because this is how I usually work, and so you guys would like see up my nose. So there we go. Make it a little bit in between, but
no, we're good. And I have like the hospital office.
Love
It's,
it.
It's currently under. I'm letting someone else design it for me with the new website and all the things that measurement marketing has paid for.
Well, there you
I
go.
like your triangles, Ahmad. You have quite the.
I know.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I thought mine was cool because of the triangle versus white background, but yours, I mean,
Hey,
I
yes,
think
it was. All right. Well, let's go ahead and kind of chat. I want you guys to be able to really chat about this. The idea here is because a lot of people, when they're interested in certification, they will email me and we kind of go back and forth, answer some questions. And I end up saying something like, hey, listen, if you want to talk to Ahmad, and then I'll email Ahmad, say, hey, are you cool if I send somebody over? And Ahmad has always been gracious for that. And so but that just doesn't scale. And I'm really feeling bad for Ahmad instead of sending people over all the time. So I'm like, well, let's just do a webinar where we can keep this and have this and have you guys talk about what this experience has been for you. Like, and again, the good, the bad, the ugly, like the things where you're like, oh my God, I didn't expect this. And it was harder than I thought it was, or the stage of it, I didn't really like all that much or whatever. But I want everybody here that's watching this again, whether live or on a replay, to really be able to get a feel for if they are truly considering it, what does it look like on the other side? Because obviously I'm biased, right? But you guys have actually gone through the program, and Ryan, we didn't get a chance to introduce you. So, but Ryan is one of our more recent certifications. So with I think a little less than 6 months now, so that he's been certified. So we've kind of got Ahmad, one of the original pack. We've got Rita, in the middle, and then we've got Ryan, who's new. So they've seen different versions of this as well as this program has persisted through. So anyway, I'm going to let you kind of take it away. And, you know, Rita, do you want to kind of give us a start maybe to this? And kind of from your perspective, I'm always curious what you thought it was versus what it was, right? Like you always like read this, and we're not great marketers. Like I'm just not good at it. I'm much better at the measurement part, right? But you know, we try to tell the story as best we can, but there's always like, here's the expectation, and then here's what actually it was. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I think definitely the expectation versus the reality. I think to give some perspective, I run an agency. I have a team. We do web design, conversion rate optimization, paid traffic. We've always done that, and so what I wanted to do with the measurement marketing was to add that in. It had always been like kind of our point of differentiation with the web design, about designing websites that worked versus websites that were art projects for people, and that's how we always stood out. And what my goal was with the certification was really to round that experience out a little bit, because we had just kind of like learned on the job, and I'm like, you know what, I want to know who's the person that knows this. And I had seen you around all the places that you see people around when you're looking at this kind of stuff on a regular basis. And like, I want to learn from the person who knows how to do this. And so that's kind of the motivation behind it, was kind of how I wanted to roll it into the agency and what we were doing. And I think I looked at it because I followed you a really long time. I'm sure I saw it when Ahmad's class was. I could have been original. Could have. And I didn't, because it was just, I didn't have the bandwidth or whatever it was at the time. And originally, I guess I thought it was just going to be, you know, like all the classes that you take. I just thought, you know, we'd learn some stuff. It would kind of be like, you know, just you'd go through and you'd have like a to-do list and you go do it. And then you'd maybe hand in homework or maybe not. I don't know. And, you know, and then I was reading the hour requirements. I'm like, okay, you know, like I run an agency full time. This is going to be nothing. And like, what was it, the first week when I was literally on video saying, oh my God, it's midnight. What am I doing? I really shouldn't be doing this at midnight because I'm missing things I should be seeing. And yeah, so it was a lot more time intensive, but than I thought. But honestly, I had no idea even what to kind of compare it to from the regular online classes I took. But I think the biggest difference for me was that you're not just getting the information, you're learning how to see it, you're learning how to do it. If you get stuck, there's people there to help you. There's you there to help you. I had absolutely no idea like how much it was like having a teacher with you, learning exactly what it is that you needed to learn. And since I was actually going through client projects with you, I was also learning what I needed to learn for the people that I support and how I support them. So it wasn't like you were saying, we're doing direct response funnels with an upsell, a downsell, a cross sell. You were saying, okay, you walk through an example that's pertinent to what you do, and then we'll figure out how to do that because it applies to everything. And so that was really, really helpful. So I actually learned, you know, in the actual client work that I was doing and wanting to practice on. And then had somebody there, and not just you, but everybody, to like really give feedback and suggestions. And if you got stuck, there was always somebody there. So the time definitely was a big, didn't appreciate how long it was going to take. And sometimes you just get stuck, right? And no one can predict that, what you're going to get stuck with. And depending on which client project you're working on, it's either complicated or not too, right? There's all of those variables that you can't predict. But also I didn't anticipate how much support in the program and past the program, because I mean, we're coming up on a year now, and we're all asking each other questions and throwing stuff out, and that hasn't ended. So that's been fantastic. So
excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you. Ahmad, can you kind of do the same thing? And I did a horrible job of introducing you as far as what your businesses are. So thank you, Rita, for doing that as well. So, you know, feel free to do that too. But the take is sort of that same before and after. From your standpoint, and particularly because one of the popular questions I get, and it's happening more and more, which makes sense because Tag Manager's been out there more, analytics has been out there more. So now I've got people coming saying, well, listen, I already know Tag Manager, like I already know analytics, I already have the technical things. Is this thing even worth me taking? Like, is this just a glorified Tag Manager analytics course? That was your question. You were the original, right? The original one who asked that. So can you sort of, you know, speak to that as well? Obviously, after a quick little introduction.
So I came into this program and I thought that I know everything about analytics and tag manager and conversion optimization. Okay, so I've been taking lots of online classes from 2 years before I joined the program about analytics. I had the GAIQ certification from Google. I've been on the Avinash Kaushik's coach course, which was about analytics and especially Google Analytics. And then I was on Conversion Excel as well. So on Conversion Excel, I've been through your course on Google Tag Manager, and that's how I knew you. And then on all of the three Google Analytics courses that I had. So I knew analytics, I knew Tag Manager, and yeah, that was my question. That I know this. Is this going to be different? Is this going to be, is there going to be anything else that I can learn from this program? And you said yes. And we do things differently, and come and see how it is. And I'm really glad that I did that, because my expectation was like the rest of the guys, was just a class that you go, like every online course, you go watch some videos and you learn something, and then there is some kind of exam and you check some boxes and you get a certificate. But the first class that I joined, I said, oh my God, people are there with their microphones on and with the cameras on, and it's like a group of people talking to each other, which wasn't the expectation that I had and the experience that I had with any other online class. So it was collaborative. Well, we could jump on and ask questions as they happen, and you were there to answer. And another thing that I wasn't expecting was that I thought that you're going to, cover tools, for the most of the program, like Google Tag Manager, how it works, what buttons are there to press, GA, what is there, what can it do, and what to do with. But most of it was, you went through the programs and the tools, but most of it was how to use that tool, how to use the knowledge that, I have to be honest, I had that knowledge of how to use that tool. Okay, I know where the buttons were, where the menus were, but I hadn't used it in that way to solve real problems. So it was the actual moment of truth for me that, yeah, we have these tools now, how to use them. And the program happened to be the transition for me from just learning to actually doing. And I told you before that I actually learned more within the 5 week of certification, after the classes than the classes. So I can say it was 30-70. So because I had to go and find the answers to those questions, it was so hard, and I learned doing it in a real life scenario.
Yeah, that's cool, and thank you for bringing that up, because you're right. I've heard that from, I think, just about everybody. Where the 8 weeks is like, some of it is like you said, how where the buttons are, because some people don't know that, but it's mostly to how to apply this, and then that 5 week certification. In order to earn a certification, you have to do the work, and there's a reason for that. Not just because I want you to, I need to know that you can do it, obviously, before I recommend you, but just from a learning perspective. Like, that's how you integrate it into your own system. That's how it gets into your brain. Is not just reading somebody else's thing and parroting what they said, but actually doing it and going, oh man, that goal seemed like it'd be so easy to set. Why is it erroring on me? And then that's how you learn, when you're actually doing all that stuff. Thank you for mentioning that, because that is part of the reason that it is 5 weeks, is because it takes time to do the thing. Again, it's not just clicking on a bunch of radio buttons till you get all the answers right. So thank you for that. Ryan, how about,
there is no guarantee that you can answer any of those questions. You have to try. You have to figure out how to find the answers. That is the most valuable skill as someone who is a practitioner. Because
I am diabolical when it comes to those questions.
When you know how to find an answer, it's better than knowing all the answers, before. Right. Because you know that, okay, I'm going to get this job. If there's a challenge, I know how to figure out how to go about finding a way to figure out the solution.
Yep, that's exactly right. It is. I mean, that's that was a very conscious decision when we built the certification, was to say, okay, let's make this as real world as possible, because I don't want to have a bunch of people. Because I've talked to clients who were like, yeah, we hired such and such that is a certified whatever, and they had never actually done the thing. Right, like they just read a book or whatever, and answered the questions, got their cert, but they've never actually opened the platform before. And it's like, well, that shouldn't be a cert, right? Like, it should be a level for sure. It's like I have an understanding of it, but let's not say that you do it. And so when I did the certification, I wanted to do things like, this is what's going to happen. Like, Google's going to change something, or I gave you a piece of this, and this formula's got or this recipe is 3 different pieces in it that I've given you, but there's a 4th missing piece. Go find it. And to force you to, number one, go, oh my God, there's a piece missing because he didn't tell me that. And then I have to go find it. That's why we did it. Because like you said, real world, that's what it is. It's all the time like that. So if you're going to be doing this work, I want everybody to have that experience of it for sure. So that was another great point. Thank you for that. Ryan, how about in your end? Sort of the same question. Again, feel free to introduce yourself and kind of what you're doing. But the before and after, like, what were you thinking it was versus, what it, expectations versus the results?
For sure. Yeah. So my name is Ryan, and probably a little similar to Rita, probably not as big as of an agency, more of kind of like a boutique agency, but kind of before measurement marketing, and I'd say a few months before, it was more of a creative agency, and we're wanting to like video production, websites, things like that. And definitely wanted to transition more into analytics, but sort of, had taken no shortage of courses for sure, but more like, kind of pieces of courses. CXL as well, Ahmad. I remember kind of meeting you through the grapevine in there. I've also taken some Avan Asher's courses as well. A little bit of digital marketer, but that didn't go too super deep. Some of the lab ones I'd seen you on, Mercer. And so I kind of gotten a feel for a lot of different courses, and they've all helped me along the journey, but they really didn't. I mean, you're never done with the journey. You didn't complete the journey, but it didn't really get me to the point where I'm like, I don't really need to take a whole lot of courses anymore. I have so much to do. And that's really where I'm at now. It's like I have so much to do, because before I was like, I didn't transition my agency into a measurement, marketing, analytics, data, paid search agency because I didn't frankly think there was going to be enough work to do. I was like, well, I kind of got to keep doing video still because that's, pays the bills, and I don't really know what to do for analytics and all this. I know Google Analytics, but I didn't really know Google Analytics. And so now I do. And now it's like, I can really keep up in a really good way of all the jobs and the potential situations, whether it's a Flowbone and measurement marketing audit, or just a simple Google Analytics audit, or a Facebook Analytics audit. I just did one of those recently.
That's awesome. From
learning through your WIN course, which also we have access to, which those are awesome. I'm still waiting for your Regex one, Mercer, so that'll be
coming out.
Me too.
This recording is like 2 weeks away, so
yeah. So I remember talking to Ahmad before coming in, and I don't remember all the questions I asked, but it was great because I had been through CXL as well, and most recently the one I had been through, and I learned a lot really from you, Mercer, and Simo in there, of course, as well. But I wasn't, sure if this was going to be, because it was an investment for me, clearly, and I was like, is this going to really take me to the next level? And it exceeded my expectations. And I think we talked a lot about, yes, it really taught me Google Analytics and Tag Manager really well, and a lot of it at Data Studio as well too. I do that quite a bit nowadays. So all the tools, I mean, just doing it and having that resource there, not only on the live calls, but also as the open Q&A, because it's one thing to have the Q&A or the kind of the open support always in your back pocket, but if you're not on the calls, you don't necessarily know what to ask necessarily. And so just having those consistent calls, whether it's the weekly Q&A or part of the 8-week certification, it was so that routine of, okay, time for Monday, time for another certification call. And, before I wouldn't have any questions coming in the call, and afterwards I have 4 or 5 more questions, which were all great because it forced me to learn Tag Manager specifically so fast. And that's probably the tool that's most valuable to me nowadays, because obviously that should kind of feeds all the information down the pipeline, of course. And so in terms of learning all the tools, that was, so great. But I also want to talk a little bit more in depth about learning how to sell it. And I don't know if Mercer had said before, he's not a marketer. He totally is a marketer. Don't let him tell you he's not. He's great. And I remember listening to you, Mercer, 2-3 months ago on one of the Digital Marketer podcast you were on. They interviewed you there, and I have that one saved because I listen to that every once in a while, and it reminded me of what some of the key phrases I learned to be able to sell it when I'm talking to people. The truth is in the trend, the power is in the pattern, make sure we trust but verify things. These are things that just come second nature now when I'm into these meetings in order to land jobs, and they really make sense with whatever I'm talking about, and they really help me speak intelligently and in layman's terms, not data analytics nerd talk, because as soon as you start chalking over someone, or they think you are, they're going to get nervous and they're going to say he's just trying to fool you. So it really taught me how to sell this too, which is obviously the most important part first, because if you don't win it, you don't have a chance to do it. So it also teaches you that to the top level. So I've taken a lot of courses today. This is by far the best one I've taken in just digital marketing in general, but obviously measurement marketing focused.
No, that's cool, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. And yeah, and it's sort of recap. So I heard Rita talking about time. Like it does take time. Don't think this is something you're going to come in for 5 minutes a week and knock out. And it's not that type of program. If you don't have time to do it this time, wait until May, right? Wait until a future certification, because you need to definitely have the time. Also, Rita, and I'm going to read into this a little bit, but is it accurate to say, knowing what you know now, you would have made some time back, knowing if you could get into it a little earlier?
I totally would have done it the first time around.
So if I was better at explaining it the first time, it's on me. It's on
you. Because I was a price increase, right?
Yeah.
So, and I even said after I took it, I'm like, I would have paid 4 times what I paid for this. And at the time, I already had one price increase too, but I wish I would have jumped on it first. Well, and honestly, and it's what everyone's talking about. It's doing the work. Mm-hmm. Like you can't start actually doing it till you learn it.
Actually do it. Yeah.
And the 5 weeks of certification, the spider webs that I drew of like, you'd give us a problem. I'm like, well, what about this? And what about this? What about this? And I'm like, oh my God, what about everything? And so, it would just kind of make your mind. And I love being presented with a really unique challenge. I love solving problems. That's why I do what I do. So this was kind of like that on steroids, because every week there was a really complex problem you needed to solve for the certification, which was fantastic and hard, but in a good way. Like there's people that love to challenge themselves that way. And I think that's really who you attracted to. It's not people that are just kind of here to dial it in. Like we really get excited about trying to figure this stuff. And it's really like, we all just geek out together on it. And it's nice that I find there's like there's a safe place where it's like, guess what really cool thing I just figured out, and no one else in the world would actually think it's cool. So that's really nice.
We are a special breed back here. That's so true.
And it's really cool for that. But yeah, I definitely would have made time earlier, just because the business growth we've seen, exactly what Ryan was talking about. Like when we're talking with a potential client or with a current client, like pretty much all of our current clients that we weren't doing measurement marketing services for, we are now. Mm-hmm. Because they just think this is the best thing that has ever happened to their business. The clarity that they've had, filling some holes that were so easy to fill, and really making it practical for them. And then obviously we had long-standing relationships with them, so it was a very safe thing to take that step for. Yeah, totally. Because I can't even imagine where my business would be today had I done it a year earlier. Like, geez, already, but.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. And then so it continue on, Ahmad was talking about the class interaction, and that it was very much like we're all talking together, and this is definitely more like all of us in the same room having a conversation around the table, and I'm definitely facilitating it, leading it, because I'm personally teaching them. But it's not. Even though there will be some videos we're going to reference and things like that, those classes are highly, highly interactive. So definitely be prepared to play for sure. And then what Ryan's point was, I think, to kind of recap his, which the biggest takeaway I got from that was obviously when you came in, it was like, wow, I actually learned how to sell this. Like, not only did I learn how to apply it and do the work and have the confidence for that, but now I can actually sell it and communicate in the way with other people, because we do talk a lot about that, and we're always sharing like different ways to say stuff, or a different process, or and like Ryan was saying, you're gonna hear trust but verify. Many of you probably already have if you're part of the workshops or the academy already. But things like truth is in the trend, powers in the pattern, trust but verify, we go deep dive into that stuff, and we talk a lot in terms of formulas and recipes and structures that people can follow, because that's what what you rely on when you're doing the work, because the actual tactics themselves may change, right? Google Analytics may one day come up with a whole new goal type. Well, it won't really matter because as a measurement marketer, you understand the purpose behind the goals, the types of goals, and then it's like, cool, I just got to learn these little tactics. That's no big deal. But to Ahmad's point earlier, the how to apply them is super important, and doing it in a way that specifically relates to this is how you can improve your marketing now because you have this insight, and using the tools for that purpose. So I thought those were really good. In terms of, and we'll kind of go around again, and I'll start with Ahmad this time. Who should not be back here? And before you answer, I'm going to ask all of you that same question. So who should not be a part of the certification if they're thinking about it? What's like a weed out factor? And part of the reason I want them to answer this is because they're already right sort of in this area. And we've talked about this as certified measurement marketers on our calls. We're talking about sort of keeping this a really good group of people who are actively doing this. Like Rita was saying, like we're all geeking out over stuff and like, wow, now I know how to do, GTM so it doesn't fire tags on a reload. Like that's super exciting to us, right? Like we could figure out how to do that stuff. Or I just figured out how to get e-commerce to work with ClickBank. Like, yay. So all of that sort of stuff we get to celebrate back there. We want those type of people back there. So, and we want to make sure not just, that you geek out over it, but just that you really enjoy being a part of this crowd that you're considering being a part of. So Ahmad, like, who is, and sometimes it's easier to figure out like, hey, if you're definitely not this if you just, hate this, don't even think about it. Like, what is that for you?
I mean, if they hate it, the analytics, then yeah, it's obvious, but if they like it, but if you haven't touched analytics, or if you haven't been around digital marketing or e-commerce, or if you've been just doing marketing in a strategic way, not touching any numbers, not touching GA, or not knowing even GTM is, it might be a bit hard for you to keep up. This is the first. So I enjoyed it too much because I already knew what those things were, and I had, I had a passion for analyzing, optimizing and things like that. So you have to be kind of ready. You have to be in the know of what is there, what is analytics, what is GA. You have to know about it to some extent. Of course, there are resources in the academy. If you don't know how something works and you want to learn it, it is okay. And there's always, Google Analytics documents website as well to learn anything, technical in detail. But you have to be exposed to these, digital marketing, analytics, optimization, so you can understand the problems that are there, that now you can solve them with the new capabilities and skills that you get from this program. Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you have to be willing to solve some problems, and you will learn it here.
So sort of have this natural, so at least the basics of some of these tools, you should have already, like if you're already the type of person who knows the basics of stuff and you've played around with them and you're a problem solver just by nature, then awesome. But if you're not that, and you hope to one day be that, maybe try some other stuff first to ease into a program at this sort of level. Okay, it makes total sense.
If you haven't been exposed to these, to analytics or optimization or e-commerce, or at least the problems that are there, then you might better start with the academy, get yourself a subscription on a monthly and start going to the WIN courses or the basic GA, GTM stuff to make yourself ready to get the most out of this program and start with the next cohort or the one after, okay? And then if you don't have time, if you don't want to put time and resources and hard work into the program, you're not going to pass it. I mean, I'm going to be honest.
No, that makes a ton of sense, because we're working really hard to help you sort of come up with this potential new revenue stream, and that's a dedication that we're making on our end for all of you. So if you don't have the time for that, then what's the point? That makes total sense, because there's other ways to get the information.
Passion and dedication, and you have to be willing to put the time. And then based on your level that you are at right now and your background, some things are going to be harder for you or more time consuming for you to learn. And some other parts of the program might be actually easier for you.
Yep,
but those are the three things. Yeah. Passion, time dedication. That's it.
Okay. Ryan, what do you think? What's sort of and maybe we can do both sides of the coin. Like, what's a kick out for you where you're like, if you're already not this thing, then don't worry about it. But if you are this, then definitely you should consider it.
Yeah, I think Ahmad hit quite a bit. So thanks for taking them all, Ahmad. But no, I
actually feel how Rita feels right now. She's going last this time.
I'm screwed.
I'll try to cover. You have to really think about it, Rita. No, I mean, I think what Ahmad didn't hit maybe it's part of GA, obviously funnels. That could mean a lot of different things to people. What is a funnel? But I think just really digging deep on those why questions, and read Simon Sinek's book Start With Why. No, you don't have to read that, but I think it's kind of that mentality of being really proactive and like don't just take numbers for what you're at. Like that Google Analytics Dimension Explorer page is a really great example of like, well, what is the definition of a bounce rate? What events cause a bounce rate? So if you don't ask those why questions and you just take, okay, we have a 50% bounce rate, if you kind of take things for what they're worth, like you could be a certified measurement marketer if you put the hard work in, but I don't think you'll be an effective certified measurement marketer because you'll kind of be a little bit of vanity metric, like this doesn't really speak to what problem we want to solve, and you can't speak to in depth, with that. So definitely have to just be a proactive person, dedicated, like Ahmad had said, for sure.
Natural curiosity.
Totally. Yeah. Definitely have to be curious by nature, proactive. And for me, I was more savvy in Google Analytics. Like for me, I had to do more work in Google Tag Manager. But now I feel stronger in Google Tag Manager than Google Analytics. And so I think you just kind of have to realize your strengths are, and then, kind of figure out what area you need to put more work in, but realize it does take, some weeks, 20, 30 hours a week, but if it was easy, then why would you want to do it? Like this is creating a new revenue stream, like you said, Mercer. So it takes a lot of work to create a new revenue stream. You can't just snap your fingers and, if that's the case, it's probably not going to last. So,
or it'd be a lot more. We charge a lot more for it.
Right. Yeah.
Snap your fingers thing. The push button. Finally, I figured out the push button thing. Rita, how about yourself? What's that answer?
There's nothing left. There's nothing.
Or what are your favorites from their answers?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I guess the biggest I came from, and I very similar to Ryan, where my tag manager lagged to my Google Analytics and Data Studio. That was stronger for me. That was stuff that I'd used quite a bit. So I had a lot of catch up to do with Tag Manager. Which is probably why I was up to stinking 1 o'clock in the morning. But that's because, I had a day job, right? Like I was doing this. And honestly, Mercer was a swear word on my team. They're like, what? You have to do what? I was like, I just need some time to finish this. And so that was kind of where my strengths came from, and from design background. But I have 10 years of marketing online, and I've been doing this for a really long time. So I found that was something I noticed between myself and the other people that I went through certification with, is that my marketing background, and technically, and we build websites. So I mean, all of that, the flows, the thank you pages, the goal, all that stuff is just second nature to us. So the folks I was going through, I found that wasn't as second nature to them. So I could see where they were really struggling, because just the measurement's one thing, but if you don't understand how marketing works, then you have to, that I think is harder, honestly, because understanding human behavior and how people make decisions and how people move through all of these different places, whether you call them funnels, journeys, all that kind of stuff, there's the psychology to all of that, you just, I don't know, I think that might be harder. And I think I found that part really easy. So it was easier for me to look at a situation and examine it from that marketing perspective, and then backfill with some of the technical stuff, and I'm still going to be calling Mud if I need somebody to do custom JavaScript, because that's not where I'm going to spend my time to learn that extensively, because I have so many other things to do. And that's the beauty of this group. We all have strengths that we can share with each other, and everybody's really welcoming and things to do that. So for me, I guess if marketing is totally new and you don't understand what online marketing looks like, and just have a really good, kind of that data scientist side of it, where it's I know how to measure things, but I don't know people. Yeah. Then it could be hard to see this in the bigger picture, because it's not just isolated tools. It's really facilitating all of this other stuff that's happening. What I think could be a big struggle, but for a definite shoe in, I think if people are in the academy and they just like doing the courses, which I did. I'm like, was I in the academy? I was in the academy first. And I love doing the courses, like just, doing a workshop Wednesday and going, oh, cool, let me just see how that works. And honestly, that's what I thought the course was going to be like. So that's why there was kind of that difference. I didn't realize it was going to be like Workshop Wednesday with everybody there watching.
Now that you're in it. Yeah, exactly. It's Workshop Wednesday live. Yeah.
So it really is just that more intense and teaching you how to figure this stuff out. And even when we ask questions in the certified channel, at least like when we're all it's not just like solve this problem for me. It's like, I need to learn how to look at this. I want to know how to problem solve it. And I found I'm asking much better questions now than I used to. Like before it was like, where do you even start? Like, I just don't even know how to do this. And now it's like, I've gotten 90% of the way there and I cannot figure out this last thing. And I know what it is that's wrong, but I can't figure out how to fix it. It's just the quality of the questions you ask is a lot better. So I'd say those are kind of my kick in, kick out, but I think it's really individual, and I'm not necessarily, I'm really good at numbers. I took calculus in university. Like that's definitely a strength I have. Yeah. But I'm also very relational. We're very, people driven in my agency. We're all about long relationships with our clients and stuff. I don't know, like we all come from very different personalities and very different things. So I wouldn't necessarily say that is, if people are worried that maybe, it's too technical, like there's not going to be a lot of soul in this. I would also disagree with that. I think it's just a great group of people for sure. But also we use it to help our clients understand their audience and understand their people. And that's how we talk about it a lot, because I work primarily with female entrepreneurs, and a lot of them aren't interested in leads, driving conversion rates, all of that kind of really harsh numbers. They're interested in understanding how their people are moving through their customer journey. Yeah. Right. And that's exactly what it is. And so we humanize it a lot and we talk about it in that way. So it's also not, it can be whatever you want it to be. If you want it to be spreadsheets and numbers, that's fine. But you can also apply it in kind of a different way as well, depending on your style of business and your personality.
And I love that you brought up the tech thing where you're like, hey, and I sort of rely on Ahmad for this, because I do too. Ahmad knows this, right? Ahmad's like our superhero for the group. And we're like, hey, Ahmad, so custom JavaScript variable for you. What do we do here? And he's like, give me 30 seconds. But we all have different skills in terms of what we're coming to the table. Some are a little better at psychology than others. Others are better at the technical aspect than others. Others are better in certain platforms than others. Like, we've got people that are Shopify experts or work with ClickBank or Infusionsoft or whatever. And everybody gets to sort of powerhouse together as a certification team and say, like, I don't need, like, I don't feel like I obviously am, I've got the basics of JavaScript sort of thing, but I'm nowhere near what Ahmad's skill set is when it comes to that. So that's kind of one of my big goals for 2019 is to do that for myself. But I don't have to do that in order to function as a measurement marketer. I've done an enormous amount of good for our clients without having that, because I have guys like Ahmad, right, as an access. So if you're not technical, where you don't know JavaScript inside out, like you don't need. I don't believe that. I don't believe you need to in order to get started. Eventually, you will learn a little bit for sure, but you definitely don't need it to get started. So, like Rita was saying, don't let the tech aspect of this to fool you, because you will grow into it, because you can get an awful lot done without knowing that, and then as you know it, you can get even more done, and as you evolve. So
like, I remember the first time I read one of Simo's blog posts, and like it was really complicated, and we were like first person cooking and all this stuff, and the first time I read it and I went, that all makes sense. It just scared the crap out of me because normally I would look at that.
You read it after certification. You're like, whoa, I understand this.
Like,
that's awesome.
I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Cool.
Let me go take care of that now. And it blew my mind because, I probably had looked at that exact same article the year before and just shut it off and just said,
I hate when this is in Spanish, it translates for me. Oh,
exactly. Looking for the translate button. Where is the JavaScript to English button, people? And
awesome.
But when I read it and it was actually completely, I'm like, oh, right on, let's go take care of this. And that was crazy, where you actually I started to go do it, and I actually had a moment of pause, going, that's cool. I just impressed my own self. So it was good.
What about even on the tools? I remember you shared the GTM variable builder like a month ago in one of your weekly sends, and I remember us talking about that on the weekly Q&A. And I use that tool. I do work for a lot of car dealerships, and we really want to know like a lot of the information on the car on the page. So now we go find the VIN number with that GTM variable lookup code, and I can use that with Facebook ads. And I don't know JavaScript, but I know how to use this tool. I know how to look at it and make sense of like, this is working, and how to TBV, trust but verify, with Google Tag Manager and get the real-time hit. And so, you know, just in the tools as well too, like just knowing, like I wouldn't have found that tool on my own, but I found that since I'm a part of this group, and it saved me a lot of time.
That's cool. No, thanks for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's always little hidden gems that you don't realize. So in terms of results, and I want to be respectful of your time, so I know we've got sort of 5 minutes that I'd reserved with you guys, so if you need to go, I totally get that. In terms of the results, now that you've been through it and you all have different varying, and Ryan, I want to start with you, and then we'll do Rita and then Ahmad, just sort of keep the pattern going. What's the biggest result been for you, and trying as much as you are comfortable with relating it to real world business? Because that's what I would be thinking if I'm on the other side looking in, kind of going, okay, yeah, but what did they really do with this? What does it actually pencil? Did you get an ROI? Like all of that stuff.
For sure. Yeah. So I took this course, and I was on a team, kind of a direct response marketers team, pretty high level. And I was brought in as a contractor on a 6-month contract. And so I had basically taken this certification, got into the certification program, and I was still in the 6-month contract. I had, my own agencies, clients on the side, not a whole lot, but I had this one big client, and I knew I needed to up level my analytics and data game in order to stay on and to show them all the value, because they had a lot of traffic analyzed and all these things. And just this alone, I knew this needed to be the course that leveled up my measurement skills, and it absolutely did. So now I'm a full-time on staff employee with them, which is kind of what I wanted to happen. And I have my agency over on the side where I can, take on clients and things like that. Just got 2 other pretty big clients recently. It's not a lead directly attributed from measurement marketing, but the skills 100% directly attributed from measurement marketing. And I think the biggest thing, it just leveled up, obviously, my skills, which in turn levels up your confidence. And so it's do I want this project, in terms of the time it's going to take to complete this, and looking at the whole scope of it. And it's yeah, I do. I'm going to go win that, because I know, unless it's Ahmad or Rita, I'm one of the better measurement marketers out there. Outside of this group, I have that confidence now. And I know, if I need to hire some help with the project, I can hire some people to do these things. And, but just the confidence alone, sounds like Rita had said too, she would have paid 4 times that for the measurement marketing certification. I absolutely would have paid that, because, Mercer has taught us how to go deep sea fishing, not just fishing, it's deep sea fishing. You can go in and you can, it's, things will change in GTM and GA, but the concepts and how to find out those questions stay the same. And that's what he's taught us to do. And it's 10x in terms of the potential growth and the immediate growth. It's been huge. So yeah,
awesome.
Real world.
That.
Yeah, real world scenarios.
And Rita?
So yeah, we were doing pretty good already. And I think what's been cool with the agency is that we've been able to do far less web design, which for anyone who does any sort of web design knows that it's like the open-ended black hole of all time and space. And that it eats your margins really easily, and you have to be really clear about all of these sorts of things, because you can always have one more font, you can always have one more color. And what I've loved about adding measurement marketing to this is it's far there's nice edges, and I think that's one thing we didn't talk about was the 5 pillars a lot. You're really actually giving the process for what the business service looks like, which is we've taken that and we've iterated on it, and specifically for our clients, and not changed. We've added some stuff to it. We haven't changed the pillars, because they are what they are and they need to be that. And so really kind of built out that whole service, and it was kind of handed to us. And then as we used it, we're like, okay, we need to add something in the front end of this, and kind of do that just for our clients where they were coming at us. And so that part, actually having a process to follow that you can just insert into your business, whether you're a freelancer or you have a small agency or a big agency or whatever it is amazing, because that's the hardest part, right? Is developing your own processes and methodologies to be able to sell to a client and not only sound like you know what you're talking about, but actually do. And I've experienced exactly what Ryan did. I've spoken to all you guys about it too, the difference in the confidence to be able to go into a sales call and a meeting with people, and to know that you know what you're talking about. And if you find something you can't do, that you're going to be able to figure it out. And if you can't, there's someone else who's got your back to help you figure it out, and everyone will figure it out together. And honestly, you don't encounter it tons. Like, it's really those kind of far outside, the outlier cases where someone's got some weird tech setup that shouldn't be the way it is, but it is. So you just got to figure it out. And then everyone just kind of geeks out on that together. But like last year, 2018, that was the best year in our business, and we doubled our business last year. And I've been in business for 10 years. And that was on the back of measurement marketing stuff. And I mean, and now we have some people that, we have some top, honestly, I don't know that they're top people in their space. Like, they are the people. Like, when you get the email about people asking, you're like, oh,
you're getting the headliners now.
I'm like, I know who that is. And so we're able to confidently, with still some oh crap, we got to show up and do this good, obviously, because I hope so. I always hope to have a bunch of the healthy nerves when you're dealing with something that big. But we're supporting some industry leaders in not the online marketing space, but in online business, in their chosen fields. And we're doing it well and confidently, and it's pretty cool. And I mean, and I'm teaching my team this stuff too. So I found that, just through the teaching of it to them, I've got to know it so much better. And it's been pretty cool helping them have that additional skill set as well. Because there's lots of things that you don't actually, once you know how to do it, I'm a lot more in the strategy role. And then there's certain tools that I don't have a skill set on my team yet for, that I'm still doing. But with, certain setup, like with the GA setups and things like that, people on my team are taking care of that. They're loving it. And it's not that you have to do all the little bits and pieces yourself if you don't want to. And if you love it, then go to town. You can kind of create the business as you want it to be. But no, it has transformed what we do. And I find it's kind of making us, it's like proofing the business toward all the ebbs and flows. Because I don't care whether somebody is into messenger bots today, or they're into, evergreen webinars, or whatever the heck somebody's into. You have to measure all of it.
Either way, they got to know if it's working or not.
Yeah,
that's so true.
So that's what I've really found is we're also able to sit at the table, and they have all these tactics they want to try, and we can help them focus. And focus is what's helping them grow their businesses. And when they grow their business, because we're on their team now, there's no better way to stay at the table.
That you had the impact on that. That's true.
Exactly. And so that's what I've really found is that it's really helping us insulate us about who cares what WordPress does or XYZ does, or whether something goes extinct and there's a new social media platform. We can measure all of it, and you still have to measure it. And it really gives you that wonderful evergreen skill set across all the marketing things. And we're all growing and learning together. So as new things come up, I find out, all the new things through the channel. There's lots of things that we can't pay attention to everything.
Yeah.
And it's really great that way. So that's a big plus for us, but it's been a game changer, seriously, for the business.
Very cool. Well, thank you for that. And Ahmad, how about you in terms of sort of results to the business itself?
I mean, if Rhea is saying that it was a game changer for her business, it was a game maker for me, because I wasn't a gamer. I know, I was, but I was an enthusiast, and I knew, analytics and conversion optimization, but I was just applying it to my own businesses. A few months before joining the program, I actually was trying to create my own agency and build a business, and on top of conversion optimization and providing analytics and optimization services. But I wasn't sure how. I was just trying to make it happen. And this program helped me actually to do that and transition from someone who was good at it, but didn't really do it as their job, to a practitioner and an agency. So I built my agency based on not only what I learned about the tools from you, but how to package it, how to deal with the client, how to speak with the sales call, how to run the actual business and your communication with the clients. And it helped me to create the business, grow the business in the last year. It's more than a year that I've been certified. And I got referrals from you, maybe more than the other people on this call. And yeah, I made the business, I grew the business, and at the point right now, I'm trying to scale the business and I'm at the point that I think that I cannot keep up with the amount of work that I'm getting, either directly or indirectly, as a result of your referrals or what I've learned or the people I've met through this program. And yeah, it was game maker. If you
No, appreciate that. And then I'm gonna do one more final round if you guys have a few minutes, and then and then if you have any other questions that are not being asked here, if you're watching again live and replay, just email me. But otherwise, live, pop in the chat, and I'll ask those for you too. But the what about in terms of like, what are you charging for this, like for your services? So if I was a client, and I realize this will be a little bit over the, I'm not going to give you a lot to work with because scope matters and tech matters and everything else. But just generally speaking, from a range perspective, because everyone's got different levels and of clients that they're working with, right? So I get that, but I want to get an idea just for everybody here on the call, kind of from what your perspectives are right now. Like, what are you charging for measurement marketing services? And is it like ongoing retainer basic? Is it just a project? Because it's entirely flexible. It's up to you guys as far as how you want to do that. But I'm always curious as far as what you guys are charging. And Rita, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go to Ahmad and Ryan.
We'll talk about reader rates.
Let's talk about reader rates. It's our favorite thing in the calls. Reader rates.
It's like
from the top.
we're gonna like everyone needs to charge more. So for measurement marketing, we range from, I think the least we've charged is $3,500, and that's not the rate anymore. But we've charged.
Is that on a month or a project?
No, that was just like to do the 5 pillars, like just to do the setup. Was 35, and that's, we're talking about like a super simple business, like stuff, nothing super complicated. And all the way up to the most that we've charged is 15,000 for a build out, and like an actual, not, and like paid and like received money for that, not like proposed and didn't get it. I would say on average, probably 8,000 is where it kind of sits. Okay. And for perspective too, most of the people we work with are usually 7-figure businesses. We do have a spattering that are 500 to $1 million. And I think there might even be someone hiding underneath that 500 too, that's in there. But that's kind of the size of the businesses that we're looking at, and obviously the marketing usually scales in relation to the income that's coming in. And and we really focus on retainer stuff. Like I really love long-term engagements. So we're really careful about our client fit. We're really careful about a variety of things and whether they're the right people to serve them, good personality fit, all that kind of stuff. And then month to month, it depends on obviously all the things we could, and the scope and this and that. But it can range from, a couple $1,000s to quite a bit per month. And then we also, of course, have the Facebook ads, which almost has become like a back-end service to the measurement marketing, because when people are so clear on how their marketing is working, they're often like super gung-ho to, kind of amp it up, right? Because they're like, oh my gosh, I know. And so many of them have either been burnt with Facebook ads, or they didn't run them properly, which is usually the problem. They feel like they've been burnt by them, or they just didn't feel confident spending the money because they just didn't feel confident with all of their numbers because they knew they didn't know them, or they'd pause them or whatever else because they weren't working. And often, as part of what we do with the measurement marketing, is we go in there and we make sure that their Facebook ads are set up. We do an audit of all of that stuff when we're putting everything else together, so we see what's going on and we're able to advise them, and then make sales offers for what makes sense for that client. So and then Facebook ads are percentage of ad spend based, and then with monthly minimums kind of thing. So that's a little bit of a different model, but yeah, we have lots of clients that we just do measurement marketing for them every month. That's awesome. And we do quarterly strategy calls sometimes, or even just like a monthly video walkthrough, like we do like a video presentation for them, not necessarily even live. So it's however it works for your clients and for you. And we've really tried to turn it into long-term reoccurring revenue. And I know that's not for everybody. Some people like to work with a client and then not work with them anymore, but we really like to do that. So that's how we've set it up.
Very cool. Thank you for that. Ahmad, how about you? And feel free to do range. I know you don't want to stick you guys with
Yeah,
rates, but.
I had clients of all types, so it's difficult to say a range. I've had consulting, kind of done with you to tell them what to do and where to look at. And I've had one-time projects, and I have ongoing as well. The one-time projects, they range from 10 to 20K based on the size and the complexity of the project. The rest of the ongoings or the smaller ones that take about a month and then it's finished, or for those that they need help every month, it ranges from 3 to 5 grand a month based on the level of service that they.
So you do like 3 to 5,000 recurring for those clients, and then your projects 15 to 20K. Okay.
Yeah, it is different per month and per amount of work that they have per month. But I'm trying to go and fix that. It's a bit easier, but if you want to get a overall idea of the range, if something is taking like 3 months, it would be 15K, 4 months, 20K, things like that. Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay. And Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, so since I've been kind of the newest certified measurement marketer, I haven't done a whole lot of, I've done 2 measurement marketing audits that I've actually done. Those range from 4 to 6,000 for the audits. So kind of where I was hoping to get, because I was willing to go a little bit lower because I didn't want to build up case studies and have good video testimonials, but I didn't really have to cut too much with that. I've been lucky in my, kind of diverse skill of digital marketing to be able to say, kind of have clients get in unique situations where I have clients that I really want to work with on a reoccurring basis. And so I've just basically said, okay, if you want to hire me full-time, consistent kind of a thing, this is what the rate would be. So I found that to be in the 6,000 to 8,000 for the last couple of clients, and just been like super excited to work with them. So I would kind of reduce the rate a little bit as a term of like one-off, of course, but it's a reoccurring thing. So I've essentially gotten clients feeling like a set time on the weekly schedule because I really want to work with them, because it is, some scenarios I'm not a big fan of. I did the whole freelancing before web design thing where it's like it feels like you have a job and then it's like, okay, time to go learn a new business and figure out kind of a thing. And I really want to find people I want to work with, learn it, and keep getting better. So obviously, showing more value to the company over time as well.
Yeah, those long-term client relationships. All right, cool. Is there anything, and we'll wrap it up here. It's a final question. Is there anything that I have missed that I've not asked about that, because this happens all the time where I'm like, I'll sort of do something and Rita's like, hey, I can't believe you missed this thing. But is there anything that I've missed where you're like, okay, make sure you talk about this, or here's something I want to make sure people know about, anything like that. And I'll just kind of, do a free for all, whoever wants to go first, or if there is nothing, that's awesome too. But is there anything that's just sort of top of mind for anybody that I may have missed that I should be talking about? It's always the hardest question.
Yes. That's the one thing. Is there? Okay, Ahmad, you can go first.
You go first.
And so you can tell we all really like each other.
It's
just like the Brady Bunch in here. We just need Mercer in the middle.
That's a whole new game right there. Yes,
that would be great. I think the one thing, I guess, the price point is kind of the only thing that I would kind of bookend everything with, is that because it's more than a course you're going to take, at CXL, or it's more than whatever. Like it is, but it's like so exponentially better than any course I had ever taken, that it's really like, to look at that thing now and to think I hummed and hawed about it at all, like is just, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just wish I would have just like never minded, just gone ahead. And I think I even signed up on the last day, for crying out loud. It's like putting it off. That I, just because I didn't realize the difference in this. Like it was like an online university course with like a tutor and your teacher in the classroom. Like it is, I would put it more into that category, because you're thinking like, this is actually like part of a degree program, except you learn stuff that's actually useful in your real job. So it's better than a degree program. So I would put it more into that category, because I made the mistake of comparing it more to online courses that people had done. And, that I had done before, and that were kind of more of those mass produced sort of things. And there's a lot of care that goes into this. And I think, and as you said, you weren't a marketer. I think one of the best things that makes all of us really good marketers is when we care about other human beings. Yeah. And you really do, everybody does. And there's a lot, like, you really care that the people who do this know how to do it and feel comfortable with it. And if we have to ask like a stupid question, like, hey, Rita, guess what? You're firing double page views on that at 12 o'clock in the morning. How could you didn't figure that out? I didn't feel like a dumbass. I felt like someone who was helping me see that. And I mean, I felt like a dumbass because I obviously missed something really easy, but the supportive environment of, something that was really easy for like a mod can come in and like start talking. You're like, whoa, I do not know how to do that. Like, crap, am I in the wrong place? And you're like, you know what? Let's help you. Let's get you to a 50% a mod. And I'm like, awesome. That's all I aspire to.
I hope one day to be 50% a mod. Yes.
It was super cool. But it was just how supportive that was. I think, because I mean, that probably would have been, I don't remember that specific thought, but I'm sure it was there. Like, am I going to feel stupid? Like, what is the group of people going to be like? I mean, it's nice that you can actually see the group of people that show up. Like, this is a great representation of who shows up. And that part, that even if you don't know, and there's like, what, I really have a serious deficit in X tool or in X thing, that you're not going to come in to the group and nobody is going to make you feel like you are less than, or that even if you have to do some more teaching around a certain type of thing, because you're in there and you can see that someone has a deficit, like you're able to help them find resources to fill that deficit. And it was just really, really supportive. So that was something that there was just no way of knowing, because obviously I didn't realize how intensively supportive it was going to be. But to know that no matter where you're coming and what your skill level is, that you're going to be able to be supported, and nobody in this group is going to make you feel like you shouldn't be there. Because if you want to learn this and you love it and the desire is there, then everybody here is really interested in supporting people to get there, because there needs to be more people like us out there cutting through all the crap and all of that junk that's in the online marketing world, because this cuts through everything, because this lays it all bare. You can see what's not working. You can see what's all smoke and mirrors and stuff. And I think there just needs to be more people like us doing what we do.
Love that. Love that. All right. And Ahmad?
I was actually going to just say about the support and the community, which just Rita explained way better than me. So just to recap that, you join as a student, and if you want, you stay as a family, like us. And the support you get from the certification channel, which we're supposed not to speak about, that is just you don't talk about.
It's like Fight Club.
That's true.
Yeah. It's just secret weapon of going to everyone and say, yeah, I can do that. Well, there are people that are going to support you. I go to that set channel all the time and asking questions. Other people comment, and there are different people with different superpowers, like your family, that are gonna help you with every problem that you have. And then that was all. And Rita mentioned about the price, and it occurred to me when she was talking about the investment in the program and how to look at it in terms of ROI, and in terms of last click direct attribution, which if you don't know, you will know.
You will know.
I can attribute at least 20 times more than I spent to get into the program directly from the business that I earned just because I was there. So you have to be here, you have to work for it, and what you get out of it just depends on you. But if you're good at it, if you put the time, if you're dedicated, if you get the most out of everything that is available to you in this program, it would be so much easier for you to, just get back the investment and multiple times all of it. So that wouldn't concern me at all.
Yeah, like, could you imagine trying to figure this out yourself?
Yes, as a matter of fact,
decoding
I can.
You can. How many years? did this take you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Ryan, any sort of final closing thoughts?
I'm glad we touched on the community because that's what I was definitely wanted to bring up. The community is so diverse. It could be from a Q&A, the Q&A calls every Friday, which I still never tried to miss. It's always on my calendar. One of the few things I'm going to make it a New Year's resolution again and try and not work Fridays at all. But I will be on the Friday Q&A calls because that's a multiplier. This is all just a multiplier of, I got to keep up to date with things, and you just never know what's going to be on the Q&A calls. Like you say, Mercer, you're kind of your favorite things of the week because kind of a testing ground and an incubator really for all the things we do. From the chat, getting the direct access. If you have a question, if you have a dumb question like Rita had said, or if you have a really in-depth question, I've used them 3 times a week, and then I went for 3 months and didn't use it, but you guys were just always there. And I think just that aspect alone, knowing that obviously you're going to do the training and go through the whole system, but you have that in your back pocket, and you can say, hey, if I have a question, like, whether it's someone that can answer it in the channel or just Mercer, that support, that is worth the price alone. Just that, that is absolutely. I've seen other programs where they kind of say it's an agency's secret weapon. It's kind of like what that is in a way of if you have a question, if you're not sure, you can get that answered. And obviously Mercer wants to see you trying for it, but it's so valuable to have that. And now I use that not very much because Mercer has taught me so well. I don't have to use the Q&A anymore, or the questions. So yeah. Community and just teaching us how to fish once again. That's really what it comes back to. It's so worth it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And with that, we can kind of bring it to a close. So I wanted to thank you as a panelist, Rita, Ahmad, and Ryan. And then just to show everybody else, this is something we didn't really talk about, but I want to let you know it's there. And also, just in case you're like, hey, you know what, I'm not going to get certified, but in case I need somebody to do the work for me, if you go to measurementmarketing.io, we have a done for you services section here. And on here is everybody who is certified who is open to referrals. There are people who've gotten certified who just want to keep it in house for their reasons, and they just don't want the extra business. So they're not on here, but everybody else is. And you see, Ahmad, Rita, and Ryan, Chris and John are also great. They just couldn't make it today. But but go in here, and kind of click through, and you'll learn a little bit about sort of what they're looking for and how to connect with them and kind of what their specialties are, et cetera, et cetera. So feel free to take a look at that as well, or of course with the button there as well. But then go ahead and take a look at it, consider it. It is an investment. There's just no way around that. It is absolutely an investment. Hopefully at this point you realize it's an investment that has better than average chance of ROIing. Obviously can't guarantee that. But I want to make, that's why I wanted you to hear it from the panel, some people that have done it and sort of hearing what they have to hopefully give you some confidence to do that and to take advantage of this program if it's something that you think it is for you. And again, if you have some clarifying questions, email me, mercer@measurementmarketing.io. So take a look at that and, let me know what other questions you have. So again, measure.tips/get certified. And with that, we will go ahead and bring it to a close. Thank you again to our panel. So Ahmad, Ryan, Rita, thank you all. I appreciate your time, effort, and energy as always. We will see you on the CERT call coming up on Friday, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Yeah.